In this video, I want to talk about company culture and why company culture is so important. If you don't have a laid out in words, in a paragraph, in bullet points, a company culture, you need to implement that. But I'm going to read off what a company purpose and core values should be. So our accounting firm, for example, our core values are accountability, relationships, growth, preparation, honesty, right? One of the ones I can really hit home on, and I know I've mentioned it in previous videos, is we do what we say we are going to do when we say we are going to do it, because I don't want people to not trust us, right? That's the worst. Imagine having a CPA, an accountant you cannot trust, or an advisor you can't trust. You're not going to work with them very long, right? You also need to have people that are working for your company, your employees, that aren't jerks, right? You can't have people that are driving down company morale and lessening the quality of work of everyone else around them because that person is a jerk. You need to have people that are pointed in the right direction and kind of, doing the same things. They're rowing the same speed in the boat, right? So again, this is a pretty quick one, but company culture is so important, and you have to hold people accountable, right? I'll give you one more example of what a strong company culture looks like. I got my start in business learning from my family's business. My dad's business, we had a stainless steel kitchen equipment manufacturing business. We did a lot of work for Starbucks and big restaurants up in the Northwest. Pretty decent sized company. COVID pretty much knocked us out, right? So I had to go do something else. But my point in bringing this up is we had a very strong company culture. We didn't at one time, and it changed, thank goodness, because of our managers implementing a company culture, right? And we held people accountable. And how did we do that? We didn't do performance reviews every quarter. I'm pretty sure we did performance reviews annually, but we did culture reviews quarterly. And what we would do is we'd take our 5 core values, and like, for example, ours in the accounting firm, again, is accountability, relationships, growth, preparation, honesty, right? So with that, we would have 3 scores per core value: a plus minus, or just a minus. And plus means they excel at this. They're really good at this core value. They show this core value all the time, almost all the time, right? Plus minus is they show it sometimes, but there's definitely room for growth. And then a minus is they rarely show it, or they never show it. They're not honest at all. It's a dead minus, right? And what we would do is we'd score them based on those 3 categories: plus, minus, or minus, per the 5 core values. And we do that every quarter. Their managers would do it for everybody, and then the owner would do it for all the managers, right? What was also fun is the managers would do it for each other. So that was really cool too. That was a really way to have a strong management team, management level of people. But one of the things we did was if any employee, manager or lower level employee, had 1 minus, they were below the company culture bar, right? If they had 3 plus minuses, they were below the cultural value bar, right? So you could have 4 pluses and 1 minus, and you are below the culture line that we need you at, right? We need you at the bare minimum is 3 pluses and 2 plus minuses, right? So that's a fun way, not a fun way, but an easy way to keep people kind of in line when it comes to core values. And it's always good if you have an employee that there's levels to everything, right? If you have an employee at 5 pluses, and you know for a fact they're 5 pluses, you're going into that review, you're like, yep, this guy or gal, he or she is 5 pluses without a doubt. What I like to do is take the one that maybe they're not the best at out of the 5, make it a plus minus. Just make it a plus minus and make them work for something that quarter. Maybe it's preparation, right? Hey, Sally's really good. She's a 5 plus across the board, 5 pluses across the board. But, there was that meeting that she seemed like she showed up just, a couple of weeks ago. She showed up and she just wasn't prepared. She didn't have that spreadsheet that we asked for, and or maybe it was half-assed or whatever, right? So I'm going to give her a plus minus there, and I'll explain why. The other thing is, if you give a minus, you have to give the employee 3 examples of why they're a minus and what they showed for that to be a minus. Okay, so you can't give a minus unless you can give 3 examples. But again, this is great for if you have a decent size company, but even just a few employees is great. So if anybody's looking for any guidance on this, I'd love to connect with you and help you through this process of implementing this for your company. Please comment below if you want to connect, and go crush it today. Thanks.